Welcome to the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, everyone. This is Matthew Shipe with the Shipe Sports Talk Show with my little weekly sports update. I'm going to be doing these throughout the next, 2016 year, especially the next 2 weeks since we don't have a show on Christmas Eve nor New Year's Eve for the holiday season. So I'm going to get right to it. This past weekend, the Redskins defeated the Buffalo Bills at home for their second straight victory, and with the victory, along with the losses for the Giants to Carolina, the Eagles to the Cardinals, the Redskins are now sole possession of first place in the NFC East. And next week is a win game, win division scenario in case the Giants do lose to Minnesota, which everyone's predicting they're going to lose. This week when the Redskins play Buffalo, Kirk Cousins had a tremendous game this week. I mean, what can you say about Kirk this week? 22 for 28, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns. Alfred Morris, 14 carries, 84 yards. Even though half of those came on a 48-yard carry, that's still good for Morris, who hadn't seen that much action really since week 2 of the season. So, I mean, it's been a long year for Alfred Morris, but he had a nice little comeback this game. Deshaun Jackson, 6 receptions for 153 yards, 1 touchdown. The 77-yarder, which was great, got behind defenders and, just took it to the house from there. Jordan Reed, as always, 2 touchdowns on 7 receptions for 84 yards. Another good day for Jordan Reed. Not to mention Kirk with the 13-yard rush on the 3rd and goal. So that was great for Kirk. Defense, they let up a little bit in the secondary. D'Angelo Hall, he's just not adjusting to the safety position. They're going to have to, figure that out during the offseason. For right now, they're going to have to work with what they have. And next week, he's going to have to come prepared to play, especially against, Jordan Matthews, even Riley Cooper, Zach Ertz. D'Angelo's going to have to step it up in the safety position, or this team could be in trouble, trying to stop the pass, especially with the Cowboys looming in Week 17 with Des Bryant there as well. So let's get to the another game real quick, which is the Carolina Panthers versus the New York Giants. A lot of controversy in this game surrounding Odell Beckham, who did receive a 1-game suspension for his hit on cornerback Norman. It was a running play. Norman was blocking down. Norman was going in for a tackle. He was just sitting there. The play was pretty much over, and Beckham out of nowhere came and basically went headhunting on Norman. Hit him right in the head, helmet to helmet, drew the flag. Scuffle. I mean, those players were going at it all day. Norman and Beckham throwing punches, throwing each other to the ground. Beckham, class to look at. I mean, come on now. I mean, he's already down. The play's already over. And you go helmet to helmet. Apparently, came out that the Carolina brought a bat on the field and Odell felt threatened. Like, really, dude? They're not going to hit you with the baseball bat pregame. It's just their little ritual. Deal with it. You don't like it? Show it on the field. He did come back and get a reception, but you know what? He should have been thrown out at halftime. After the helmet wasn't, but he is suspended for 1 game, which is going to kill the Giants. I mean, you got to go against Minnesota next week. Obviously, they have Adrian Peterson. Stephon Diggs is coming in their own. Their defense isn't too bad, and now they're going to be without their number 1 receiver. Could spell trouble for the Giants, and obviously, like I said, if they lose that game and the Redskins beat the Eagles, Redskins are division champs. They go to Dallas Week 17. Don't have to worry about a win. Don't have to worry about a loss. They can rest Kurt, rest their starters, which I don't think they should. They should just let him be. But we'll see what happens next week. Speaking of Odell, fantasy championships, a lot of them are happening this week. And a lot of people are probably going to be a little upset that Odell got himself suspended. A lot of teams need Odell. Me, myself, I'm in the Shipe Sports Talk Fantasy League Championship against former co-host Guillermo Ralda. He actually has Odell. And that's going to be a big loss for him because Odell was really getting him a lot of points this year. So we'll see what happens in that. But speaking of fantasy, let's go ahead and do my sleepers and starters for next week. Quarterback, I'm going to go with Blake Bortles. He's playing against, really mostly bad secondary New Orleans Saints. Matt Stafford just had his way with them. And then my sleepers are going to be Kirk Cousins against the Eagles. Last time he played the Eagles, he put up pretty good numbers. I think he had couple interception or whatnot. But, when you have Deshaun and Jordan Reed, you really can't go wrong. Running backs, Adrian Peterson against the banged-up Giants defense. AP's been producing all year. He got a little banged up last week. But he came back in the game and finished strong. My sleeper running back will be Doug Martin. I mean, great bounce back year for this guy. He's had 2 really down years. Really got himself going this year. For wide receiver, Deshaun Jackson. Every time he plays Philly, every time he goes back there, he scores. Scored a touchdown, whether he's backpedaling, doing the little bird dance to mock them, he scores. And my sleeper for wide receiver is Jeremy Maclin. He had a tough stretch, October to November, and is really getting it going now. Really helping out that offense. So I like Jeremy Maclin this week. And tight ends, I'm going to go Jordan Reed's a must start. Two touchdowns last week. Going against an Eagles, a bad Eagles defense. Kurt loves him in the red zone. Great for that fade route. And then my sleeper is going to be Delaney Walker for the Titans. Zach Menberger will be getting the start for Tennessee. Mariota has reportedly been out for the rest of the season with a sprained knee, which is a good. I think it's good for the Titans to do that. You're not playing for anything. Basically, you're playing for a first pick in the draft. Just rest your rookie, get him ready for next season, build a line around him. So we'll go with Delaney Walker being Menberger's sell face. We're going to switch to a little baseball real quick, and a little breaking news today in baseball is that Mike Leake signed with the Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals lost Jason Hayward this year. He went to the Cubs, so they went out and got themselves a starting pitcher, Mike Leake. I believe it was a 5-year deal, so it's not bad. For the Washington Nationals, their news, I've just been saying before, they've been really reamping up their bullpen, getting a lot of relief pitchers, but they actually were trying to get a trade for second baseman Brandon Phillips this year. Didn't work out for them. I think Phillips wanted an extension. Washington wasn't willing to pay the money, which I have no problem with. He's probably isn't worth that much anyway. So the Nationals, they haven't gotten the hitter I think people were looking for them to get, but they're working on it. There's still people out there. I mean, you still have Daniel Murphy out there, Cespedes, which I would love for them to get. I mean, they've been connected to Murphy, not Cespedes, but I wouldn't mind them going out against Cespedes and Murphy. Give a big little FU to the Mets. After all the stuff they pulled on them last year, why not go out and get two of their old players and use it against them? So that's my baseball news. Now I'm going to shift gears back to football, and I'm going to preview next week for the Washington Redskins versus Philly. Big game for the Redskins last time. Primetime game on Saturday night, December 26th. They'll be playing 8:25 p.m., I believe, on the NFL Network. Last time they had, 2 times this year they've had, primetime games. They've lost both of them. The last recent one, the Cowboys, that was a big game for them. Obviously, if they'd beaten the Cowboys that one week, division's probably wrapped up. They don't have to worry about these last 2 games, but that's not the case. They have to go in and beat Philly this week. For the division, like I said, one of the keys is going to be D'Angelo Hall. He's got to come out playing the safety position this week. I mean, I don't know what they're doing during practice, but they got to get him going. I don't know if it's, his injury with his ankles. Towards Achilles twice last year. So they got to get him going somehow. He's got to stop the deep ball. Sam Bradford's actually starting to play well for the Eagles. I mean, he's coming on strong. Obviously, they just lost to the Cardinals, but a lot of teams can say they lost to the Cardinals this year. See what happens there. The run game, once again, our emphasis is to get the run game going, and they did last week with Alfred Morris. Morris, like I said, 84 yards. One of those was on a 48-yard carry, so we'll see what Morris can do this week. Got to get going. Matt Jones, just protect the ball when you come in as a change of pace back. And then the passing game, Kurt, you like that. He's doing good. What can we say about him? 300-yard games, multiple times this season, multiple times he's thrown for 3 or more touchdowns. He's got to keep it going, especially with Deshaun back. Deshaun hates the Eagles. We all know that. He hates going there. He hates playing there. And every time he goes there, he seems to just, he scores. He likes scoring on the Eagles. He's like shoving it in Chip Kelly's face, so just keep him going that. Garcon got a touchdown last week. It was good for him. He's been quiet this year, so get him going. He's your possession receiver. And like I said, when you get in the red zone, Jordan Reed's the guy to look at. Just get that fade route. He'll outjump most of the cornerbacks in this league, most of the linebackers in this league. Get him going. And keep on protecting Kurt. We saw against Dallas, they brought the pressure a lot, and they had trouble protecting Kurt. They were coming at him. Why the Bills didn't do it more often, I don't know. But if you hold that line and give Kurt time, he will make the defense pay, and that's what they need to do. And on the defense, on the other side of the ball, DeMarco Murray has really been not a factor at all with the Eagles this year. But you're going to have Sproles back there, Ryan Matthews, and you got to contain Darryl Sproles. He's a guy that can beat you on the return game, in the passing, the run game. You let him get an open space, and he'll take it to you. He's almost like a running back version of Deshaun. He can just take it to the house anytime he gets the ball. So you got to look out for that. So the rest, you look at the scenarios this week, and this is it for the Redskins. Prove that you belong, prove that you can get a playoffs, and win this week. You win this week, you get a home playoff game. You're either probably going to have to end up playing Seattle, the Packers or Minnesota. Obviously, you probably want to see Seattle. The past couple times you've been in the playoffs, Seattle's have been the one to take you out. In Joe Gibbs' era, Seattle took him out in the playoffs. When RG3 was a quarterback, Seattle took him out of the playoffs. So, you may want to get the revenge, but Seattle's really not the team you want to play right now. If I was the Redskins, what really I'm hoping for is a 4 seed, is hoping the Vikings keep their winning ways. You play Minnesota, play Green Bay, depending on their outcome of Week 17, and use that home field to your advantage. You're winning games at home. Just keep it rolling there. You've only lost twice this year at Dallas, beginning of the season to Miami. So just keep that going. In reality, Washington should be undefeated at home this year. They shouldn't have lost to Miami, and they shouldn't have lost to Dallas. Those were 2 horrible games. that I don't know what happened to them for some reason. They couldn't get it going. But other than that, they've been tremendous at home. I mean, they're lights out. No one can beat them at home. So speaking of the Redskins, I want to go talk a little Kirk Cousins now. The debate now is, would RG3 been doing this the whole time if he had this kind of help? Answer is no. All right, Kirk Cousins has proven to himself this is his type of offense to run. He's better than RG3. This is not an offense for RG3. You saw what Jay Gruden is. He's almost grooming Kirk to be like Andy Dalton, which was his quarterback when he's offensive coordinator and the Bengals. And Kirk, if you look at him, he plays a little like Andy. You know, he's mobile. He can throw the deep ball. I mean, he can do anything you ask. The only difference is Andy Dalton has A.J. Green. That's the big difference that they have there we don't have here. We have Deshaun who can get you behind receivers. Behind defensive backs, but we don't have a big, tall receiver like A.J. Green, which I hope the Redskins address in the offseason. They really need that. Pierre's nice. Deshaun's nice, but, you know, they're not going to go up and, you know, beat out two cornerbacks. It's just not the way they're made. But I think Kurt is the best fit for this offense, and I think they need to sign him to a long-term deal. It needs to happen. I'm sorry, RG3, you had your time. Yeah, you had injuries, blah, blah, blah. But let's face it, the first year in the league, you ran a read option. No one knew how to defend him. No one knew what it was. Yeah, you had other quarterbacks in the league like McNair, Cunningham, Vic, McNabb, Culpepper, who ran the ball, but never ran like a read option. It was mostly on their own. Like I said, if Michael Vick came in the league 2 years ago with his read option, he would have ran for 2,000 yards probably. More likely. And I mean that. RG3, he can't run a pro-style quarterback. He can't help himself. He says he wants to do it, but he can't help himself. He wants to try to get out of the pocket. He's not comfortable in the pocket. You have to move the pocket. And in moving the pocket, that moves the offensive line, which means you have to draft and go out and get certain offensive linemen that can only do that. I mean, it's more straining on the team itself to try to cater itself to a quarterback than the quarterback coming in and that can run the system with the players you already have. Now, obviously, they're building around Kurt, but you got to do a little bit more with RG3. I'm not going on RG3. You know, he was a great player for 1 year. He got him a division championship, but he just ain't the same guy anymore. The read option is not what it is. Now, you can make the statement, you know, Russell Wilson still runs it. Russell Wilson's also passing, also has 19 touchdown passes in the past 5 games. He also can throw the ball. RG3, he can only throw side to side. Let's face it. I mean, he threw the deep ball well, but, I mean, most of the times they were just throw it up and hopefully the other guy is faster than them. I mean, Russell Wilson knows when to slide. He knows when to run out of bounds. RG3 just wants to get hit. And when he gets hit, he gets hurt. That's what it is. He's injury prone. Hate to say it for the kid. You know, he probably needs a new fresh start in an offense that caters to him. Like a Chip Kelly would be great with RG3 because that's the kind of offense he can run. Pro-style offense, not RG3. A lot of teams are not going to look at him. Dallas, you know, oh, he goes to Dallas runs a pro-style offense. You don't see Tony Romo running the ball. Not a good fit for RG3. So if you want him to go anywhere, you better hope he goes to Philly if you want him to even come back in this league and be good. But, you know, off of the read option quarterback, Colin Kaepernick got benched this year for Blaine Gabbert. Another guy in 2012 who was off to the races and running the ball, couldn't keep it up once people knew how to defend themselves. The only person that really transitioned from that was Russell Wilson, who actually stopped and learned how to become a pocket passer and Stelling. This year in the draft, Mariota came out. He only has 2 rushing touchdowns. Other than that, he's throwing the ball. I mean, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's throwing the ball. And people thought he was going to be a runner. I mean, he had the long, I think it was an 84-yard run, 87 yards, something like that, you know, 2 weeks ago. Other than that, he's only run it for 1 more. So, I mean, you got to think there's not a lot of these mobile quarterbacks in the league that are going to be lighting it up for 10, 11 rushing touchdowns anymore. This is a passing league now, and that's what you got to do. These linebackers, defensive ends are too athletic for you to do what you did in college. RG3, yeah, he took the league by storm. Not going to do it anymore. I'm sorry. You're not going to outrun some of these defensive ends in the league because if you do run, they're going to pop you because this is their good chance to pop you without being penalized when you're in the pocket. So I think Kirk Cousins is great for this offense. They need to sign him long term. The rumors coming out that they don't want him to test free agency, and you can't let Kirk test free agency. You got teams like the Texans, the Browns, you know, who want quarterbacks. The 49ers, they all need quarterbacks. And if you let Kirk get that free agent market, someone's going to try to outbid you, and Kirk's going to get paid. So keep him. Don't let him test that free agency. Keep him here for the next 2 to 3 years. See how he does. Build around him. 2 to 3 years. If he's like RG3 and just a 1-year wonder, then you know what? At least you didn't give up 3 draft picks for him. So that's good. Speaking on the quarterback topic, I want to go with Marcus Mariota real quick. My team's quarterback rookie sensation probably this year. Rookie of the year for offense is going to be probably between him and I believe Amari Cooper. from the Oakland Raiders. Normally, they always give it to the quarterback, but we'll see what happens. They're going to shut him down. He got a knee sprain in the last game. But a great rookie campaign for him. 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, the 2 rushing touchdowns, that big 87-yarder. I think he has room to – he's going to improve as a quarterback. I mean, you've already seen he's making pro-style decisions. I mean, the first game that he came in the league against the, so-and-so Buccaneers team, I mean, he was lighting it up. I mean, he was getting the ball out of his hand in less than 2 seconds a second. So he knows the reads. He needs protection around him. So they'll build around him. Obviously, we're going to get the first pick in the draft probably. Offensive lineman, just keep building around Mariota. Same for Jameis Winston. Keep building around Jameis Winston. Buccaneers will be fine. I mean, they had a good year so far this year, a good rebound year in what they had. So, a lot of these young quarterbacks, Blake Bortles, Derek Carr, and these young quarterbacks are starting to develop because these teams are building around them. I remember the Oakland Raiders the past couple of years, their quarterbacks have sucked. I mean, they've just been I don't know what to say about them. They've just been, not really good with quarterbacks, bad luck, and now they found one. Same for Jacksonville. So you're going to see a lot of more younger quarterbacks start developing more. Andrew Luck hurt all this year. We'll see what happens next year. He needs to have a bounce back year. I mean, Andrew Luck was taking the league by storm when he came in. Everyone's talking about the next Peyton Manning in Denver. So hopefully, next Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. So hopefully he bounced back from his injuries. Speaking of Peyton Manning, is this it for Peyton? He came out and said if he's healthy, he's not going to settle being the backup. So that should be an interesting situation to watch, especially in the playoffs. Do they keep Brock, or does Peyton come back in the playoffs? So we'll see what happens with that. I'm going to let you all go for the holiday season. Enjoy your Christmas. I'll be back next week to discuss the scenarios for Week 17, who's in, who's out, and also discuss some more bowl games next week. We're going to have a couple of the New Year's Eve bowls coming up. You have Alabama against Michigan State, Oklahoma against Clemson. That will be on New Year's Eve for the championship that will be played January 11th. So I will preview those games next week. And our next show won't be until January 7th. So like I said, I'll be doing hopefully a couple more of these until that show. And then also, even when we start beginning to go back to every Thursday, I'll be doing these once a week just to keep you all informed of what's going on around the sports. That way you just don't hear from us once a week. You hear from us 2 or 3 times a week. So that way you know what's going on. So thank you for listening. Have a great Christmas. A great New Year's. I'm sure I'll talk to you guys before then. Thank you. And I'm Matt Shipe signing off from the Shipe Sports Talk Show.